And welcome, Rattler fans, to a very special Valentine's edition. Notice the ties.
Notice the color.
Talkin Rattlers, where the banter is never out of season. And it's always a season to love and for Talkin Rattlers. David Tovar, Chad Peters with you, live inside Diamondback Cafe, affectionately known as the Caf. Behind us is the Valentine's Day spirit, balloons, roses, hearts, free cupcakes, hence why we're here.
Yep.
Well, Chad, we're also here for the Rattlers. So many stories to go along. It's been a crazy week in the Rattler Athletics. You've had the basketball teams on a roll, baseball on a roll, and softball picking up their strides as well. And I guess we'll kick off with some basketball. Both Rattlers, ladies and the men's, on a 3-game win streak, and that's in just 1 week. Last Saturday, they defeated St. Edwards. We talked about that last week's Talking Rattlers. They beat them in overtime. Then they also beat the Newman Jets both, and then they just pounced Oklahoma Panhandle State. A very successful week for Talking Rattlers.
And a lot of things to love about the Rattlers this past week. The men's team picking up a huge wins, putting them back in position to possibly host the Heartland Conference tournament. Frankly, 2 weeks ago, who would have thought that possible when the only win separating them from a 4-game losing streak was a crazy overtime win against Kingsville, in which they had to go off on a run late to overcome a 10-point deficit in the final minute. The women's team, shocking victory over Newman, an amazing performance by the ladies, led by
the number 1 team in conference, the Lady Jets.
With 2 of the best players in the conference, 2 on their team. For our ladies, Deanna Patterson, Felicia Jacobs,
Jackie Edwards, and Kat Galindo coming on.
Bria Bell coming up huge in the OPSU game. And the ladies dropped 100 against Panhandle State, so that was a little bit fun over there at Grihe Arena, seeing as Scott Fonger, our compliance guy, told us, the 1 doesn't get used quite enough on the scoreboard.
True.
So that was pretty fun to watch.
I thought, Chad, the thing that really stood out to me was watching the Rattlers, both Rattler teams, play against the Newman Jets, which were number 1 in the conference at that time. And then they had to turn around 2 days later, play the worst team in the conference. And they came out with the same intensity as they did against number 1, as they did against number
especially, and when you're living the college life, the guys and gals are having to go to class in the morning. You have a lot of distractions.
Having to buy Valentine's Day gifts.
Yeah, Valentine's Day right around the corner this past weekend. And, a lot to worry about. So you see a team coming in with what was OPSU, maybe 1 win in the conference, I think, on the women's side. Probably
on the women's,
men's.
They had 1, and the men had no.
Yeah,
no
so easy to take a team like that for granted, but they didn't. And almost every guy got in the game. And just about the entire ladies' bench got cleared as well. Amber Palvido, I believe, scoring 8 points.
9.
9. And she had a nice basket late in that game. Slashing to the hole, had some contact by the rim. It was nice.
I don't know if you remember McGrady's or Reggie Miller's, better yet. Reggie Miller's, I think, 8 points in, how much was 15 seconds, something like that? 20 seconds. Polvato hit 8 or 9 in about 2 minutes. 2 from 3, maybe had a bucket and 1. But just tremendous play from Amber all the way deep in the bench. You saw everybody get off.
And on the men's side, Santiago Soto coming into the game, getting a rebound about 10 seconds into coming in, and the crowd just went wild.
That's right.
And, you talk about a guy who earned that rebound. He puts in a lot of work during the week. And finally getting some playing time there and made the most of it. In fact, he's played about 2 minutes this season.
And speaking
has
of
1 assist and 1 rebound, so the plus-minus going pretty well in his favor at this point.
Indeed, and you also want to talk about another guy who came off the bench, Aaron Thomas, who lit it up as he got off the bench, somewhat Amber Polvato-esque as well. And, of course, Reggie Miller-esque for Aaron Thomas as well. Scored, I think, 6 in about a minute. He just ran up, spotted up, and shot the threes. But how can we forget about our usual suspects? Of course, great play from Kevin, from Ray, Lamb, DT, and Moses. Those guys have played sensational as well and are a huge reason that the Rattlers are, from winning out and some help. Of course, you have to use your NFL math and, from possibly hosting the Heartland Conference tournament right here at Bill Grihe.
And really, the date to schedule or to circle in your calendars, I believe it's February 25th.
The 25th. That is
a road game
Saturdays.
in Laredo. Yeah. All the marbles at stake in that game. A&M International, St. Mary's men's basketball. The women have already clinched their spot in the tournament. The men haven't quite. I don't know if they've clinched yet. They've got 3 losses. There's muddied up with several teams with 4 losses and 5 losses. There's 6 teams still in this thing.
The road for the women's is just a little more mathematically challenging. Maybe an engineering teacher or something can help us with that one on that big chalkboard. But the men have. It's a little. You can see it a little more clearly. They did beat Newman, which was tied for number 1 on Thursday. And then they got A&M International for the last game of the season. What a season finale that's going to gear up to be. And then they can possibly, and we were talking about that earlier at lunch, a couple friends I was sitting with, they're asking me, hey, Dave, how does the playoff picture look? And it looks just like that. The Rattlers can conceivably come back and host the Heartland Conference Tournament.
Yeah, a remarkable run for the both basketball teams. The women will probably have a little bit of a harder road to host, but they've punched their ticket already into the tournament, and you never know. With a couple more wins, maybe some of the other teams ahead of them slip up, we could have the men's and women's tournaments right here at Bill Grahey Arena in the start of March.
Yeah, the men's and women's basketball teams have been rolling, but speaking of a team that's been rolling since last season, on to the men's baseball team. They have been sensational, picking up right where they left off, 6-1 at my last count.
Yeah, 6-1, and I was talking to assistant coach Chris Ermis earlier today. Of course, they've got here on Tuesday a big game against UIW here later this afternoon. But Ermis was saying, we haven't been hitting well at all this season. So they've been very happy to be playing in pitchers' ballparks, which is what Wolf Stadium is. Yeah. And they're 6-1, and he thinks they haven't even been hitting the ball well.
That's gotta be scary. That's Valentine's Day massacre-esque for all the other Heartland Conference teams about to play them.
Yeah, I mean, imagine when they get their stride actually rolling and the bats start swinging like they wanted to. MP Kokonos, he was player of the week last week, almost got player of the week this week as well. Tyler Meagle's come up with some big hits. Brandon Bates coming back around now, had 3 doubles last week in that fifth hole. So, I mean, the heart of that lineup coming together. Billy Richard had a big game last week. But when they actually start meshing all the way, watch out.
And we, of course, had the pitcher of the week, Renee Solis, as well. So the pitching, and then, of course, you're going to get it from Carl O'Neill.
And the closer, a big storyline last year. Yeah, last year was Sammy Rivas, and how in the world are they going to replace the All-American who gave up 1 run all season? JP coming in, Jonathan Perez, coming in with 5 saves in 6 games. I don't know that he's given up a run yet. I know he didn't give up a run last week.
Yeah.
And he talks with much reverence when he speaks of Sammy Rivas. They're good buds, as he says, and he really takes the job seriously, trying to fill in his shoes as the closing pitcher for this team. And I'll tell you, we might be looking at another magical season from that closer on the Rattlers.
So, and they have a game today, UIW over there.
Yeah.
At Incarnate Word right here in town. Of course, the crosstown rivalry renewed, this time in baseball. So happy Valentine's Day if everybody's spending it over there. And, of course, we'll close out our trip around Rattler Athletics with the softball team, who some news. The softball field might be back in commission.
Yeah, anyone watching our broadcast last year saw us close out the home stadium there, the St. Mary's softball fields, with an amazing hit by Shelly Lee up the middle against St. Edwards. It closed out the game. It was the extra innings in the bottom of the 8th inning, a slapper up the middle, and it was the final at bat ever in St. Mary's softball field history.
We're chit-chatting about it. Shelly Lee at that point, the artist formerly known as Shelly Lee, had a trivia answer, and the question was who hit the last hit at the softball fields, and it was Shelly Lee. And now Shelly Lee might return as Zawadzki to the softball fields. Very interesting. Indeed.
Yeah. The softball team last week, to kind of reset the scene there, they had to come back on campus. The UIW tournament they were scheduled to play at, it was rained out, and they were looking for a field to get in their game against Emporia State, so they decided to come back here. The field was playable. They decided to play, and sure enough, the bottom of the 8th inning, once again, Shelly Lee Zawadzki, now married, came in and had a shot to drive in another game-winning shot in the final game at bat ever at the field. Didn't quite get a few inches short on this one, but how she's entrenched herself in St. Mary's lore, quite interesting. And the interesting development, who knows, we might have more St. Mary's softball here on campus as the season goes on. There's a distinct possibility that field's not out of use just yet.
And, of course, we'll keep you posted on RattlerAthletics.com. We'll take a little break here. Talkin Rattlers continues where the banter is never out of season. Special Valentine's Day edition. Stay with us.
So we all know times are tough nowadays, but it's gotten pretty bad. Even Rattlerman had to live on campus.
Oh, look at that. Right there. Oh! Shoot and... Oh! Hey, yo, bro, I gotta go to the restroom, man.
Yo, it's right over there, man.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Rattlerman, Alex told me that you've been shedding while he's in the room, and that's just not cool. Needless to say, it might not work out. But we'll keep trying.
And welcome back, Rattler fans. Talkin Rattlers, where the banter is never out of season. David Tovar, Chad Peters, and of course, if you haven't noticed by now, we are in our Valentine's Day best ties on, and we Luckily, we didn't match, thankfully. But indeed, it is Valentine's Day, and how could we avoid it? And how could we miss it? Of course, if you look behind us, all the beautiful Valentine's Day balloons, gifts, potpourri, and Chad. I mean, love is in the air here in Rattler Athletics.
Yeah, and a shout out to Aaron Thomas. We mentioned him earlier in the broadcast, but after the game, of course, I spoke with him. He had the big three-pointer late in the game. It was good to see him get some action. So I was talking to him in the locker room afterward. As I was heading out, he goes, "Oh, Chad, by the way, I saw you had a date there in the calf." And I turned back around. I'm thinking, a date? That's my wife. It was before the game. Brought her in. We needed to get some food. Got a burger from here in the Grill Works here. Yeah, very good burger, by the way. Nice little plug for them. But
Grill Works, recommend it.
But I'm like, A, I'm not taking a date to the calf, and B, it's my wife. Come on.
Well, I mean, you guys still are a young couple, And speaking of love,
but I'm having to do a better Valentine's Day dinner tonight to kind of make up probably for.
You gonna take some Grill Works home?
Yeah, I'm trying to make my own Grill Works at the house. We'll see how that goes.
And I'm gonna actually try. If anybody interested, I'm going to venture my way into the wild. I'm scared to death, frankly, but I'm going to try my 45-minute to an hour waits out there.
I just hope your date has a lot of patience,
because to spend an hour extra with me, I know you do it, but you get paid for it. She might not. But indeed, so we're brainstorming. What do we do for Valentine's Day? It's Valentine's Day, Talkin Rattlers. I mean, it's almost a match made in heaven. So we talk about our loves, I suppose, and the ideas came up: love, and sports. Well, we love sports, obviously. We love Rattler Athletics, but we love sports nonetheless. So we have some ideas here, and I'll kick them to you, Chad, and then of course I'll respond. So Chad, love. Who is an athlete you love?
Present day or all time?
I would say present day. You love to, just to keep our viewers. I don't want Bart
the Mickey
Starr.
Mantle, no.
The Yankee Clipper, Joe DiMaggio. No, but an athlete you love to watch.
I'm gonna go Tony Romo.
That was my answer. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think my love has gone up even more so. The respect too, with all the hate out there.
Yeah,
I like the way he plays the game.
The hate.
The play that always jumps in my mind a few years ago, St. Louis Rams game. It was, I believe, his second year starting back in '07. And the snap goes over his head. He runs backward, takes the ball up, runs around, and he turns this huge play out of a disaster. Brings a lot of fun to the table, and I think highly underrated in most circles.
Well, I love Tony Romo as well,
but I think I know who your real answer might be. But go ahead.
Manu Ginobili. Is an athlete I love. You thought I was going to say LeBron.
Yeah, I thought LeBron.
You thought I was going to say LeBron. No,
you went with the dark horse there.
Manu, I love. I love to watch him play. The guy plays the right way, the right brand of basketball. He's so flashy, so fun to watch. LeBron is just raw power to watch. LeBron's like an action flick that you want to watch. Manu's kind of like that great story, that great movie you can keep putting on repeat. And he's just great. And I really fell back in love with Manu with his return on Saturday. And I was watching it at a local establishment. And for him to check back in, and his first play was he deflected a ball, drove layup, crowd erupted. As if, it's just Manu. Manu is just Manu. He's not Americana, but he's San Antonio Americana. So,
and our young viewers might be saying, Manu someday might be a Jeremy Lin.
That's right. Happy Valentine's Day to you. Yeah. I mean, the nation and the world loves Jeremy Lin. How do you feel about the Lin hype?
I finally got to see some of them in that game against the Lakers, 38 points against them. I think he looks like the real deal. I think he benefits from that system.
Yeah.
I don't think you put up historically great numbers over a 4 or 5 game stretch and then just fall off the earth. I think when Carmelo gets back, with Amari coming back,
I think it's gonna be interesting to watch them play together.
I think even though he's a point guard, you're gonna see fewer touches, or fewer shots at the very least.
Yeah.
I heard someone on the radio mention, he'll probably go from being a 27 point per game guy to maybe 18, 15, somewhere in there. I could see that.
No, but I think he can be a healthy contributor.
Game, though.
Absolutely. I mean, I count me on the Lin bandwagon as I am with Tim Tebow. That's an athlete we also love, Tim Tebow.
But I'm a little less on his bandwagon.
Oh. You gotta, to be American, you gotta love Tim Tebow.
No, I love the guy.
Oh, okay.
But the game,
it's a little sloppy to watch.
The completion percentage is a little lower than although our statistician Max Kosub came up with a funny line. He said, I don't really support what Tebow believes in, but he's a fantastic player. I love the play, and of course totally playing contrarian there, just joking around.
Inverted the entire thing. All right, well, keeping on with our love, the sport you love most, and this one's an easy one for you.
It was football growing up, but being in San Antonio, basketball has really climbed the ladder.
Yeah.
Baseball initially was kind of my passion, then found football. grew up in Ohio for a little bit.
Oh, really?
Was a Cincinnati Reds fan. Father in the military. We moved overseas. It was a little harder to keep up with the Cincinnati Reds in London.
Pete Hustle?
So,
were you a fan of Pete Rose?
I got an autographed ball from him when I was little.
Really?
Yeah. He charged for it, but that's all fine.
Oh, okay. As long as he didn't wager for it or something. Okay. then we're all fine.
But yeah, I think football, and then basketball number 2 for me.
All right.
Sure. How about you?
I'm going to have to go with basketball being 1. Love my Spurs. Love the Heat. I'm a Heat fan, so send your hate email. Love my Rattlers.
That's D Tovar.
D Tovar the third. And my second, soccer.
Really?
Big soccer guy. My dad was a soccer guy. He won multiple awards over in Piedras Negras, Mexico.
Nice.
It's a rural town, it's a border town, but he won many awards there. And so I grew up watching soccer, like U.S. national team, like the Mexican national team. But soccer is a sport I actually really do like. It kind of saddens me when people don't love it. Don't have the Valentine's Day passion for it as the rest of the world does. But it's a niche sport. But I think it'll slowly creep its way into Americana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully. Well, moving on with the love. Hey, your favorite, the team you love.
I'll let you go first.
Alrighty. I'm going to steal your answer. No, wait. The team I love, I like the Heat. I'm a Heat fan.
No.
Recently. But I also like the Cavs. I love my Spurs, though. I'm a homer. I am a brutal homer. I love the Spurs. Ever since, and I can't even lie and say, I rooted for them when they had that bad 96 season. When they won their championship in 99, I was a huge fan. Going into the 03 season, huge fan when they opened up the AT&T Center. 05, the 7-game series against the Pistons. Yeah. Classic. Loved every minute of it. 07 against the Cavs, swept them. I was a little torn, but not that much. I love my Spurs. I'm a Spurs guy.
The Rattlers?
I work for the Rattlers. Of course I love my Rattlers.
Okay, just checking.
Indeed. I'm enrolled. Love my Rattlers.
Probably same answers. Probably Cowboys first, Spurs second. That thing too, radical.
Rattlers above.
There. Yeah. Rattlers above all else.
No, but explain your love of the Cowboys.
If we've got this, of course we love the Rattlers.
Of course we love our Rattlers. But go ahead. No, elaborate on the Cowboys a little bit.
Being a Texas guy, you might think that I followed them locally, but no, being in Ohio, the affiliate there would show a lot of Cowboys games back in the 90s. And my friends were split Cowboys-Niners. Yeah, I like blue a little better.
Good thing CBS didn't have it because they would have cut the games off in the fourth quarter as they did this season. Favorite sport movie you love?
Sport movie I love. Any given Sunday.
Really?
I always had kind of I was able to go see part of that filming process there. They filmed some at Texas Stadium up in Irving years ago, and I got to see some of the film being filmed. That was kind of it was a provocative movie, kind of, made you think a little bit.
Jamie Foxx, I think, was in it.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx, Dennis Quaid.
LL Cool J.
Cameron Diaz. T.O. made an appearance in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
T.O.
Is he going to make one right now in the Arena League? All right, I guess I got a couple. Love and Basketball. And not just because it has a tie into Valentine's Day, but Love and Basketball is one of my favorites. Omar Epps. Does this one count? The Space Jam? Love Space Jam.
That's a classic.
I grew up with Space Jam, and for the longest time, it got bashed. Oh, it's not a great. No, but Jordan's acting, of course. It doesn't compare to his basketball skill. But I love Space Jam. I love Space Jam. It's probably, to me, it's a sports movie. It's also, it's life. You learn life lessons. Never give up.
It's an underrated flick. Basketball.
No?
Any fans?
With the creators of South Park, right?
Yeah,
Matt Parker and Trey. Or is it Trey Parker, Matt Stone? Yeah.
Something like that.
Matt and Trey. Yeah, okay, I remember that. Let me see, another underrated sports movie. I'm trying to think.
I'll pull one out that our Rowdy Rattlers are a fan of. Rudy.
Rudy. The Jeremy Lin movie. The Jeremy Lin story.
Yeah, and of course I say the Rowdy Rattlers because we had a team come in with a small point guard, and they started chanting Rudy, Rudy, Rudy when he had the ball in his hand. So, yeah, I thought they digging deep in the archives there. Yeah. Impressive of the knowledge that the current students have of their movie
Absolutely.
buffs.
So a lot of sports movies to choose from. I just can't think of one right now. It's Valentine's Day. I'm already thinking of the next subject. And to close out our show, Talkin Rattlers, where the banter's never out of season, Joe and Chad, I think the world wants to know. First it was Shearable Pick. Now it's, what are your plans for Valentine's?
Yeah.
And do they feature me?
Fortunately, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I am heartbroken on camera. But go ahead, Chad.
No, I think maybe a little cliche. I was going to try to do the reservation somewhere. I thought a week's worth of notice was enough. I'm not going to go fly just kind of by by the seat of my pants there and just go out to a restaurant and hope for the best. I wanted to not make the wife wait.
Yeah.
But the reservations were booked well in a week.
Well, what happened when you called in?
I called, and outside the laugh that I got by calling last, I think it was Wednesday, a little bit of a chuckle. They said that had an opening at 9:30. I'm not. That's not an ideal dinner time.
That's like a midnight snack time. Midnight snack Valentine's Day.
But we'll stay home. I'm going to try to cook a little bit this evening. Cook a nice steak dinner. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully.
Well, hey, listen. If there's some left over, of course, feel free to bring it over tomorrow.
Because you might be hungry after missing out on dinner this evening.
And that brings me to my plans. Rattler fans are going to brave it. I feel like a weatherman going out to the storm with the umbrella and the microphone and shaking and getting off. But I'm I'm gonna brave it, But I'm thinking I have a plan. There's a method to my madness.
It's mad, all right.
It's mad. It's madness. It's Rattler madness coming to you next November. No, but I'm really thinking I'm gonna avoid the big chains, Olive Garden, Chili's. Those are gonna be packed. Of course, you want to try the ones who are not lesser known, but smaller chains, as in Maggiano's and Carino's or something. They'll probably be packed. So I'm thinking maybe a local hole in the wall, maybe a local mom and pop. Who knows? Chance it. You only live once.
I'll text you my LOLs as the night goes on.
I'll be sure not to tell you my progress if it's bad, but if it's good, I'll definitely let you know it. All right, Rattler fans, that'll do it for us this week. As you can tell, we have a lot of stuff to get done. I have a lot of roses and candy to buy. Chad, I'm sure you're prepared. Yeah, being the Valentine's veteran.
Yeah, and actually, I can't give away too much here. You never know who's watching, but some of the sororities on campus were selling some good treats.
Yeah.
So supporting some of the sororities on campus here.
So you might do that as well. Well, very good to give back. It's philanthropy. It's Valentine's. Of course, it's love is in the air. And love is here on Talkin Rattlers.
Yeah, and a lot of sports in the air this week. Again, to recap, we've got baseball this evening.
Yes.
At UIW. Softball's up at Tarleton State. Softball will be in St. Leo, Florida over the weekend for a big tournament. Hopefully this one doesn't get rained out. So far, they're 0 for 2 in terms of having tournament rainouts. Basketball
continues on Thursday and on Saturday.
And Thursday, the men will be in Dallas. The women are off Thursday, and then both teams will fly to Fort Smith, Arkansas for doubleheader Saturday. So we'll see next week's edition how we stand heading into the home stretch here.
And before we close out, the men and women play on Saturday, February the 18th. Do you know whose birthday happens to fall on February the 18th?
See, it's not Robin's birthday. Who?
It's not Scott's birthday.
Scott, no.
And it definitely isn't
his son, Gavin. No, he's not.
Is it Chad Peters' birthday? It is.
I think it's yours, truly.
21.
Huh?
21. The only present I want is a Rattler win. And to keep the hope alive and bring back right here the Heartland Conference Tournament to the Bill Gree Arena. We'll see what happens. Tune in next week, Rattler fans. That'll do it for Chad Peters, David Tovar. Thank you for joining us, and may you have a very special Valentine's with your loved one right here. Talkin Rattlers, where the banter is never out of season on Rattlers Ustream Live.